Hi everyone, my name is Caitlin Henderson and I'm gathered with Shelby Peel and Ramey Stevens. And this is our final project presentation based off of Hotel Houston, which is Project A. All right, so to start off any construction project, you have to have a project scope statement, which is basically a breakdown of everything involved in a construction project. So with that, you have things like the project title, project managers, and project sponsor. Those are pretty obvious as I introduced Hotel Houston, with Shelby, myself, and Ramey being the project managers, and then Dr. Hassami being our project sponsor. Moving on to things like our project objectives, which is delivering a functional and aesthetically pleasing space with necessary amenities, optimizing resource allocation and budget, mitigating potential risks, and creating an environment that provides a great experience for our guests with adherence to design and specifications and timelines. Moving on to our project deliverables, we have constructions, licenses and approvals, architects and contractors, commissioning and handover, documentations, the physical structure and interior finishes. Then moving on to our milestones, we have packaging and service area completed by week 45, deep foundation completed by week 48, framework by week 52, the roof by week 54, mechanical completed by week 60, electrical following that at week 65, and then finally the interior and exterior finishes completed by week 72. Moving on to our constraints, we have budget limitations, construction timeline, site conditions, local regulations, design specifications, available materials and labor, and environmental concerns. And then lastly, we have our assumptions throughout our construction project as being the work package duration, stable material cost, consistent labor availability, adherence to design plans without significant changes, compliance to building codes and regulations, and reliable access to utilities.
So the next step for our construction process would be to have a work breakdown structure. So we have our Hotel Houston, and we break down our work objectives into packaging and service area, deep foundations, building framework, building the roof, mechanical systems, electrical systems, interior finishes, and exterior finishes. After that, we've split each of those objectives into work packages to be able to determine the durations for our process later on. And so we have, for our breakdown of packaging and service area, we have checking for pre-existing utility lines, soil testing, and concrete and asphalt pouring. For deep foundations, we have excavation, rebar, pier pouring, and then for framework, we have masonry walls, prefab metal walls, and then for building the roof, we have our gutters and linear drains. And then our mechanical systems, we have excavation of previous systems, our implementation of our septic tank, freshwater lines, sinks, tubs, toilets, etc., hot water, and our HVAC units. And then for our electrical systems, we have our transformer connection, sub-panel connections, main and private light fixtures, and our fire alarm and security installments. And then our interior finishes, we have our floor coverings, built-ins, and hardware, drywall and paint, and lastly, our exterior, we work on our doors and signage and our brick facade.
Howdy, y'all. Going over our preliminary cost estimation, we're first going to start off with the gross squareage of our project, the overall area that we're working with throughout the entirety of the building, starting at the 105,896.43 square feet. This is sourced from the project plans and everything. Of course, because these were originally plans based in Canada, we were having to convert these over from square meters over to square footage. Fortunately, that was very easy. We have our city cost index from Houston standing in at about 86.5%, just to get the overall charts and materials down for the entirety of a 5-star hotel. This is sourced from the example charts that we have used previously in class. Our price per square footage for 5-star hotels, as mentioned previously, is sitting at the high end for $757 per square foot. This was sourced, of course, from the 2021 records from Building United, very popular construction union who works in service of Texas State, and as well as adding inflation price factor, since our resources are coming from 2021, we are now moving them to 2024 with a 14.4 increase. This was sourced from the CBER article cited in our resources, and then multiplying all of that together, we have a total gross estimate of $9,985,177.71. Of course, round that up or add tax, and this is sourced by me doing the calculations.
So next in our process, we can see our construction schedule. So to the right, we can have a table that shows our activities, which we based off of our work breakdown structure. As we see our work packages from that previous step, we can also see our durations for each activity and our predecessors. Our durations were based off of most likely amounts of time averaged out for each activity, but with our predecessors, it is showing the codes for each activity, which we use these codes also for our activity on node analysis that we could see to the left. And we can see our activities, our durations, our early start times, early finish times, late start times, late finish times, our free float, and our total float for each project. We can also see highlighted with the pink arrows, we can see our critical paths. We actually have 4 critical paths for this construction process. So these cannot be pushed back, or else the entirety of the project will be delayed.
Howdy y'all. Now moving on to our 3-point estimation duration charting. We currently are sitting at, after calculating our variations, we are now sitting at an estimated critical path of 256 days. This is a 3-day deviation from the original one based on our AON charts after considerations. To your left, you're going to see our activities listing as well as their respective A, M, and B duration estimations as well. These were sourced from written articles that we have looked over and have cited in for our report, as well as our presentation, as well as the combined experience between me and Caitlin. We have everything listed out from checking our pre-existing utilities all the way down to the brick facade, all adding out. And now I'll be moving it on to Caitlin.
All right, so moving on to our feasibility analysis. In order to complete a feasibility analysis, you have to look at the project as a whole, breaking down things like the project scope, the market demand, technical feasibility, financial viability, and environmental impact. Going into the project scope, as you saw earlier in our presentation, we defined the project scope for the hotel. We mentioned the project objectives such as comfort and accessibility for guests. We also mentioned deliverables that include legal aspects such as necessary licenses, and we defined the construction milestones, constraints, and assumptions. Moving into the market demand, we assessed the market demand for a hotel in Houston. Houston is a major city in Texas with a large population and very high tourist traffic due to numerous events in the greater Houston area, with very high public demand for a hotel. Moving on to our technical feasibility, there is with that high market demand, it supports successful technical feasibility, and today's technology allows for successful hotel implementation. Moving into financial viability, with the high tourist traffic, it suggests that the potential for the hotel to remain fully booked during peak seasons and large events, and it is also assumed to be financially viable due to the high demand. Moving into our environmental impact, construction is not adherently environmentally friendly, and the steps to minimize the impact include using environmentally friendly, long-lasting materials with minimal waste, operational practices to minimize our carbon footprint, like using refillable soap dispensers, biodegradable toilet paper, and paper towels, as well as sustainable disposal of garbage and waste.
So to sum up and critique our proposed project, we have 4 different critiques to base off. We can focus on improving our carbon footprint and energy sources by using green building certifications to promote sustainability and incorporate renewable energy sources such as solar or wind during construction, as well as consider low carbon construction technologies such as electric equipment or 3D printing. Another critique is to try to reduce waste and resource efficiency. So we could do this by implementing prefabricated construction techniques to minimize waste. We could focus on durable and reusable materials for more long-term sustainability and prioritize circular economy principles like recycling or reusing materials. Another critique is that Houston's a very highly trafficked area, so in order to have easier accessibility, we could add backstreet access as well as multiple easily accessible entrances and promote alternative transportation options that we could possibly implement into the actual construction of the building, such as shuttle services, electric vehicle stations, or bicycle lots. Financial stability and location, we could conduct an in-depth assessment of the location's tourism potential and explore mixed-use development, such as including a retail or a dining to diversify the revenue resources.
Now on to our conclusion. We're just going to recap everything that we've covered so far for the process of our hypothetical Houston hotel. We have conducted the project scope, work breakdown structure, our preliminary cost estimate, our PERT standard scheduling, the following 3-point estimation of duration diagram, as well as the critical path and feasibility analysis.
And this is our works cited.